Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's been all the rage recently. You've been playing it. I've been playing it. I assume you've been playing it if you've clicked on this video. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the team, my adventure through the game, what I thought of the story. As always, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your favorite Pokemon from this gen. Let me know your favorite parts of the story, favorite parts of the game. Maybe some bits you didn't like. Honestly, there's not much I'm going to touch on that I disliked. I know there's been graphical things. I've had the odd one. I've not really had much experience with it, so I can't really complain, but I've seen stuff online. Now, obviously, with the nature of this video, there are going to be spoilers. So if you don't want the story spoiled, if you don't want any of Scarlet and Violet spoiled, I'm going to be talking about the Pokemon, the story, all of that. If you've not played through it and you want to save it for yourself, completely understand. Bookmark this video and come back to it. But let's get into this. Big spoiler warning, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In this video, we're going to go through my adventure, talk about my Pokemon, my team, how I got them, why I got them, where I got them. So let's get into it with obviously the biggest decision of all, choosing your starter Pokemon. In this one, we had Fuecoco, we had Quaxly, and we had a green cat. Now, obviously, Fuecoco is looking maybe the best. I think Quaxly might be my favorite, but he's also giving me massive, like, Inteleon vibes, Sobble vibes, and he could evolve into something like that. I tried not to look ahead of hand at the Pokemon, so it was all a surprise. Spoiler alert, that doesn't last very long. So I decide on Fuecoco in the end just because I don't want to risk Quaxly. And I set off on my journey. Now, eventually, after a few gyms, my Pokemon evolves into... Honestly, I couldn't tell you its name. Whatever Fuecoco evolves into, the worst Pokemon of all time is just Fuecoco with a hat. I can't believe how upset I was. At this point, I broke my own rule. I started to look up what these starters evolved into. Fuecoco's was okay, so eventually I do evolve it into Skeledirge. Not bad. It's a crocodile. It's got a cool story. It's got some cool attacks, but it leaves me wanting. Now, I was 100% right not to choose Quaxly because of this, but did I really give that green cat enough love? Now, I look at his evolves, and it's sort of like a ninja theme, which I actually really like. It feels something akin to Decidueye, which is one of my favorite starters. So I trade my Skeledirge using a code from Austin John Plays, and we've now got Meowscarade. I think that's how it's pronounced. I am still struggling with some of these Pokemon. However, the reason I'm struggling, and I've only recently realized this, the version I got traded, for some reason, it says its name when it evolves normally, but then it changes to a different language. So in my case, I was reading the French name. It's very confusing. I don't know why it does it like that. We've got a French cat, and we're on our way. We've done a few gyms. I did leave the star bases till last. They didn't really interest me that much. I did one, didn't really like it. However, I do like how it all comes together at the end, but we'll get into that soon. So I went to take on some Titans to follow that story, and oh my god. Heart-touching story. Whereas he's trying to heal his dog, the character Arven or whatever his name is, this is why we need voice acting in Pokemon. I don't know how to pronounce these things. Yeah, that was a really touching story. It's not normally something you get in Pokemon. It makes me think of in X and Y with Flabebe and what's his name? Is it Lysander? No, it's AZ. Yeah, that really interesting. I really enjoyed that story. Like I said, I don't particularly like the character, but his story was interesting. It made the Titans more interesting. It invested me in the story, and that's what this game did really well. So we took down some Titans, and I was playing Scarlet, so I got Great Tusk. Now, Donphan is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. In the TCG, I've played decks with him before with... I really should know the attack. I'm not going to look it up. If I get this wrong, I get it wrong. I think it's Spinning Turn. Basically, you would do 40 and switch onto your bench. You could add a ton of stuff to get that number up. So yeah, Great Tusk. It's basically a prehistoric version of Donphan. Absolutely adore this. Maybe my favorite Pokemon from this gen. I took down the Titan version because I didn't realize you could actually catch them. Thankfully, they were wandering around afterwards and I went and found one. And he joined the team. So far we've got a Grass Cat and we've got Great Tusk, which is ground fighting, I think. I did also pick up a Charcadet, which on my game evolves into the Spartan type version. I wanted the Meta-Knight Ceruledge. So eventually I did what I needed to do on my game and just traded it. So that was the third Pokemon to join the team. I tried catching these because my girlfriend got Violet. I tried catching, well, collecting for this Pokemon, but I could not find Sinistea anywhere. So I gave up and, like I say, found a code online again and traded for it. So there's a lot of trading so far to get this team, but it's coming together nicely. Next up, we found Frigibax, which, looking at the Pokemon, it looked terrible. I'm not a fan of the first evolve, but I held hope. And that hope was paid off when it evolved into Artibax, which I think is one of the coolest designs in this gen. It's only the second evolve though, so I didn't want to keep it there. I wanted to see what the next one was, and I was happy. Baxcalibur is a very cool looking Pokemon. It's slightly more Godzilla than Tyranitar, so I think maybe I like this version better. Massive fan of Godzilla. This is slightly more Godzilla-like. So yeah, this was straight into the team. This was a no-brainer. As soon as I saw Artibax, it was in the team. Now, another one which I found interesting. So basically, at this point, I'm quite far in the game. I've done a few gyms. I've done most of the Titans. I've searched the map. I've done some raids. Really enjoying the game. Very, very cram-packed in what you need to do or have to do. You don't really have to do anything until the end game. But I was enjoying going around searching for Pokemon. I noticed Primate was in this. And I did a list on my channel going through the Pokedex at this point. I thought I had played enough of the game to get a feel for it. Boy, was I wrong. Annihilate. What a Pokemon. I quite like Primate. Ghost is one of my favorite typings, so this was a match made in heaven. It took me a very long time to evolve this, so I looked up that you needed to use Fast Fist, was it? It's a ghost attack, basically. You need to use it 20 times. I feel like I used it maybe 40 times before it worked. Obviously, you need to evolve once you've hit the 20, which I did multiple times. I think maybe when I hit normal Pokemon and it was ineffective, maybe that doesn't count. So it took me a long time to get this, but it was definitely worth the wait. At this point, I'm looking for my 6th Pokemon, and I find Tatsugiri. Now, he was in my team for a while. Then I find the Titan. So I go to pick this up, go to collect it, and we see this giant catfish. Now, this was by far my favorite Titan fight. It was, for me, it felt very much like Resident Evil 4 when you're chasing after him and you see that giant shadow come underneath you. Hopefully you know which fight I mean. It's right near the start. Always a very scary fight. For me, giant bodies of water with giant creatures in is one of the creepiest things to me. Especially when you see it come under you. I was like, oh god. I actually stopped for a second. I stopped moving my character, let it pass. Yeah, that's a real fear for me in real life, even though there's nothing akin to that in real life. Maybe like a whale, but I don't know when I'm going to see a whale. But yeah, very creepy. There was a lot in this game which I found very creepy. We'll come on to that shortly because it is endgame stuff. But the Pokemon is Dondozo? I don't know how you're saying it. Dondozo sounds right. Comes off the tongue slightly easier, so we're going to go for that. This thing was incredible because of the Titan fight, because of, like I say, the experience I had, the story behind it, how it combos with this to use the other Pokemon as bait and then attacks. Found it all very interesting. I thought the Pokemon looked great. Basically just a better Whale Lord. Sorry to all you Whale Lord fans out there. But yeah, this was an instant include for me. I needed this type in, so I threw it in, replaced Tatsugiri with this guy, and we're on our way. That is my 6th Pokemon. Those are the Pokemon I took to the Elite Four. Those are the Pokemon I beat the champion with, beat our rival with, and then finally moved into the end game. Sound a bit like Thanos. It was supposed to be like Pokemon Endgame, but you get the point. We get there, and we go on an adventure in Area 0. Now, for me, this was very creepy. We were going around broken down outposts. Very akin, if you're a fan of Lost, like the Dharma Initiative, that's the vibe I got. Obviously, in Lost, there's a monster going around. In this, there is as well. Then we open the gate and all the Pokemon escape and we're in this fight and we're trying to get away. Then the robot that you've been talking to, which you thought was potentially Arven's mum, turned out obviously just to be a robot. It started breaking down. It started to turn on you. It started to trap you. Very creepy, very eerie, very scary aesthetic for Pokemon. But I think that's good. This is one of the best Pokemon games I've ever played. By far, the story is so interesting. The characters are interesting. Just going around with your group of friends. Now and again, when you're running through Area 0, one of them will say something. They'll be talking in the background. They'll interact with stuff. It felt very much like an actual Pokemon adventure. This game hit that on the head. far more than any other Pokemon game. So yeah, I've just really been enjoying it, and getting to that point, seeing all these things, seeing how all the stories intertwined at the end, absolutely incredible. Cannot sing the praise of this game enough. But obviously once all this was done, we had the added aspect of Paradox Pokemon. My favorite design in this is either Great Tusk or Roaring Moon. Now I had access to Roaring Moon, I had to catch it. So I catch Roaring Moon, I catch, what was the other one? Slitherwing? Basically the Volcarona upgrade. It looks, again, very similar to Mothra. I'm a massive Godzilla monster fan, so it always wins me over. It's the same reason I like Roaring Moon. It's a very cool design. I think it's a much better design than actual Salamence. So yeah, these both went straight into my team. Two of my favorite Pokemon, so they had to. Obviously, that meant we had to lose a few members. So Meowscarade and Annihilate were taken out, and these Pokemon made it in. I was back and forth with Meowscarade and Baxcalibur. I think either day they could switch. The others are sort of set in stone, so these are my 5, potentially 6 Pokemon I used in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like I say, let me know yours down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you've been using, what you've been enjoying, favorite parts of the game, favorite Pokemon. It's been such a great experience for me. I've enjoyed playing through it with friends. Obviously multiplayer, I've been able to do raids. I've been playing through with my girlfriend, just running around the same areas, catching Pokemon, and doing what you should be doing in a Pokemon game, just enjoying it. That is all I've got for this episode though. So if you've enjoyed this, you want to see more Pokemon content, you want to see more TCG, you want to see more board games, all of that good stuff, make sure you drop in the comments below, leave a like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.